Listen back to Kaleidoscope Literacy, which is, I know, shocking. I posted 2 reactions in a week. I only ordered one, and then you have to wait like 2 weeks for my other one. They're improving. No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm still a disastrous mess. There's a reason why the state of Washington declared me severely disabled. I'm a mess. And someone wants me to like encourage people to like read. I'm a huge mess. Like, I'm such a mess that like I'm a garbage can on fire. I'm such a mess that raccoons wouldn't get near me. Anyways, talking about messes and disastrous human beings, let's talk about the book How to Fight Your Neighbor and Win a Wage. Which sadly, my prop is like super small because I don't want to really show it, but like I'll show it at the end of this section. But yeah, let's introduce our characters. Bennett Bryan, who is a vampire who dealt with like severe depression, like really bad depression, like he wasn't going to classes that time. Depression. Goes to college, ends up getting addicted to getting bit by vampires, which is a thing. Like, vampires exist. Like, people know vampires. And it gets kind of creepy because I'll discuss that later. But he gets bitten by a vampire. He gets super addicted to getting bitten by a vampire, which I love. The fact that vampirism is, like, treated as a drug addiction, which is really fascinating. I love that kind of scenario. So he gets really addicted to getting bit by a vampire. And he gets turned into a vampire because of his addiction. And then we have Wesley Garcia, who is Hispanic and has just dealt with the loss of his mother, who got this really strange disease, and then she just died, which is shocking to him because his mom was pretty healthy. Like, she was taking care of herself. Like, I believe she was a nurse. And, like, she just dies. And so he's trying to get into the medical facility that supposedly tried to cure her and find out how they killed his mother. Like, what happened to his mother? Like, all of a sudden, he was in college and he got the news, like, yeah, your mom's dead. And he's like, my mom was perfectly healthy a couple of days ago. So I called her. Like, they have a super touching relationship in the community. Like, they communicated with each other so often because they were the only 2 people in the whole world they had for each other. And so he's like, yeah, my mom was fine. What are you talking about? Like, yeah, she felt a little sick, but like, I called her yesterday. What do you mean my mom is dead? And so, like, he's such a sweetheart and like compassionate. And so it kind of makes it worse that he's trying to track down vampires to give to this small medical facility. But that's how they meet. And yeah, it's a cute kind of weird relationship where it's like, I don't know if they call them enemies to lovers, but more like people who are trying to like survive using each other and realizing they're better off working together and fighting this weird institution together. Racist institution. Because it's super racist. I'll get to that. So here's the title, the cover art. It says, why are you small? I'm short, but like, this is ridiculously small. How to bite your neighbors and win a wage. I'm gonna go on to the next section talking about my initial reaction. And then after that, like a week, I'll do the review. Just because I have so many books I want to give the reaction to. And once I get the reaction, I'll have an idea of what to do. Okay, let's go into the next section. So now, about the full story and reaction. I had to like make it second part because if I know the prompt's still there, I have to like literally make a new video to like take away the prompts and stuff. So, but that's just me because I'm still getting used to this app. Anyways, how to bite your neighbor and win a wage. Like, what was my initial reaction? Well, the first thing is first. Accent. My gosh, he just has so much like he's clinically depressed. But it makes so much sense why he became a vampire because he felt something during the vampire bites. It's such a it's such a clear indicator of like someone who would fall into like addiction. Like, I'm not saying that everyone who falls into addiction has mental health problems. They're at higher risk at just like being addicted. And I'm saying this as someone who has diagnosed depression, diagnosed anxiety disorders, several of them. I'm not just the one person who collects one anxiety disorder. No, I just got the whole pack. Like, I was born and they gave me the whole pack. Like, happy birthday, you! You're gonna get infancy seizures and, like, anxiety for the rest of your life. So much so that if you hold a phone and, like, record something, you're just shaking like a chihuahua. So, like, I get why Vincent, like, was so prone for addiction. That, like, it got to the point where he was a vampire, and then he became homeless. Added to that, so like he's so easily to be manipulated and to be abused, and you see it, and you see how hard he does everything he tries to like have some control in his life. And he's such a fascinating character, and I love the fact that we explore him. That there's such an aspect of him that like I'm like, what's wrong with you? Like your parents like try to give you emotional support, like try to give you therapy, like how are you like how did the system like fail you? Like I get the system fails people, but like whoa, the system failed you so bad. Like so bad. My friend. Like no wonder you're okay. Which is kind of like my only little gripe about it. Like I like Vincent. But like I can see so many readers like going like, oh my gosh, Vincent, get alive. Which is I could jokingly say like he can't have a life, he's dead, he's a vampire now. I like Vincent's kind of annoying. Wesley Garcia, my gosh, he's so sweet. Like his mom raised him as a single mom. And so that kind of makes sense for his revenge plots. But the fact that he recognized Vincent, because everyone knew Vincent because he was so mentally unhealthy, that he was missing school dates and everyone knew how a depressed kid he was. And the fact that he like wakes up and finds out that Vincent's been the one weird vampire creep who's been like going into houses and drinking people's blood because he doesn't have enough money to like buy blood off the black market, which is a thing. Everyone knows that vampires are a thing, but they can't like get blood, which is again is it's so much like drug addiction where people don't want to like deal with the issues, and like people who are having problems and having a place for vampires to drink blood would be exactly like having a section where you can let drug addicts like have drugs, like take drugs. It's the same issue. But unlike that, kind of, I guess, in a way. Like, everyone knows vampires are a thing, but there's still vampire games where you play to kill them. I mean, there's dating sims too, but like, the most popular games with vampires are where you kill the vampire. Like, how dishumanization is that? But, and also because vampires weren't considered humans, they're also allowed to be used as testing subjects for like medical testing. And like, it's not questioned. Like nobody questions. Like, oh yeah, should we test medicine on like vampires? Like, no, everyone's like, yeah, let's test this new drug on the vampire. It won't hurt them. They're already dead. I mean, they're not human anymore. And like Wesley has no problem like just kidnapping a vampire and taking them into a medical facility. He's fully aware will get them killed. And he tries so much to like give himself the moral high ground. Like, oh no, I'm not hurting any good vampire. I'm just getting a vampire who's hurting people. Not recognizing the fact that like he's living in a world where there is no like social support networks for vampires. There's like no support. Like vampires are on their own. They can't keep a job. They can't have housing. They can't even have a bank account because they're technically living dead. And Vincent is like a great aspect of that. Like he's literally living in a graveyard because he can't have a house, he can't have a job, and he's putting himself in danger for the little job he has, hunting down vampires, because again, that's the only place that has voluntarily given him a job, and he has to hide the fact that he's a vampire from vampire hunters. And that aspect, in which he thinks is only being treated to vampires, is not just to vampires, it's also other minority groups. But it's not not as visibly discriminated to as it's done to the vampires. Like, vampires are treated like livestock, like experiments so unethically that he can't imagine other minorities being treated that way. In this case, like, vampires are very much like drug addicts or homeless people or people with disabilities, where it's really hard for us. Well, I'm a person with a disability, but it's really hard for those communities to keep a job and get a job, which is why I don't have a job and I'm filing for disability, and that process is forever. But like, not being able to even like identify myself or get support networks, like, I would be homeless without any of that. And I would be a Vincent if I didn't like afford mental health treatment and all that. And Vincent can't afford that because he doesn't get a job. He doesn't even have a house. He doesn't even have a fixed address. And at one point, like, there's this great sections of discommunication between them, and it's not because Vincent doesn't want to not talk to him. It's literally because his phone is dead, and he can't charge his phone because he has to like do it in a place where like people don't recognize him as a vampire, and like people talk shit about vampires in front of him as he's trying to like have enough money to like eat breakfast or again charge his phone. So there's like so many moments of discommunication between Vincent and Wesley, which happens literally because Vincent's phone is dead because he can't charge it. He can't charge his phone, or he can't pay his phone bill, and that's one of the only thing he pays is his phone bill, which is why he can't like. Sometimes he won't eat, or sometimes that's the reason he doesn't have a house. Because he doesn't have enough money to like even open up an account. He doesn't have a bank account. Like, oh my gosh, the amount of little details like that really show like some experience of the homeless is just great. But it's even worse because unlike homeless people who can like go to the library all day long, Vincent can only stay in the library for a certain period of time and only stay in one section of the library, so he's not hit by direct sunlight and gets hurt. Also, the sunlight, it doesn't kill them, it just weakens them, and I love those little aspects of it. And yeah, it's a great book. I give it a solid 4.25 because gosh, Vincent, while a great character, I can see him like not appealing to a lot of readers, and he's kind of whiny and he's kind of like so needy, but I love the fact that like he's so needy and so wanting because it really shows just how flawed of a character he is, and how it's very much like, you're such of a mess of a human being and I hate you for that, but I can't despise you because you're a mess of a human being. It's like hating trash for being trash. Like, yeah, someone just dumped things on you and just made you into trash. And then someone lit you on fire, and now you're trash on fire, and I can't fix you because you're trash on fire. Although that's just me. I'm thinking about myself. Oh my god. I made a joke once that someone said a comment, who's the family member that you would get along with? And I'm like, I would get along with Tim Drake. He could fit like in a way that like two raccoons can get along, and the fact that they're like in the same trash can. Like, we would fight for the trash can, and then we get along, and that trash would get on fire. No one would know why. How did the trash can get on fire? It was us. We're not going to talk about it. Also, our need for caffeine, because yeah. Anyways, I'm not going to talk about that. Once I get into like Tim Drake comics, I'll talk more about it. But right now, I'm just going to read a lot of Tim Drake fanfics. Then, my gosh, he and that kid, so much in common. It's not healthy. I'm 31 years old. I have manic depression. I have like so many issues, and a 16-year-old kid being relatable to me is not good. Anyways, so that's How to Bite and Your Neighbor and Win Wages and a little bit of weirdness on my aspect. But it's a great commentary on homelessness and community and how like a support network really helps out people in need. And without it, a lot of people get lost in those cracks. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to talk about in a few days. I have no idea when I'm going to post it, but hopefully soon. Warren, where it is. Warren Martin Ruins It All, which is about an asexual student who basically wants to, like, you know, break the dance because he sees it as a waste of money as an asexual who hasn't come out and is also dealing with his own emotional issues with losing his mom and not having that support and not knowing what his future is. And also the fact that everyone's like, oh, you should use this app, buddy. It's a great app for friendship, but everyone's been using it as a dating app, which is also not great dealing with as an asexual. And as an asexual sapphic person who also kind of went through the same kind of journey of like realizing I can have a crush on people and still be asexual. I have a crush on this person. Except in my case, I found out like years afterwards and he's like, I hated you. It turns out I just wanted you to be really, really, really like I wanted you to see me as special. Sorry, I had to like be really specific on that way. But yeah, it's a great book. I read the other authors, Amanda G. White's other book, which is Aces Wild. I enjoyed that one as well, and this was also like in that kind of stylistic choice. So I can't wait to talk about my first reaction to Warren Martin Ruins It All. And this time, I'll have the prompts on it. I just didn't prep it because I don't prep things often. Burning trash. Raccoons are invited. So yeah, next time we're going to be talking about enemies to lovers, asexualness, Halloween parties, Valentine's Day to the app buddy. Oh my gosh, I just remembered something about the app buddy. Yeah. Cancer, not the sign, but the person, the thing, the emperor of a disease, and high schoolers being high schoolers. I can't wait for you to deal with all that. Hope to see you guys soon. Remember to pick a book. It can have some cool things. I'm still not really good at the outros, but like, yeah, comments and subscribe. Can't wait to hear you guys. I might leave it to my community tab, the 3 books, and then you guys tell me which book you want me to review first. Because I am giving you guys like several reactions at once because I did do a reaction review last week, so you can vote on that, on whether I should do The Getaway. What was the other one? It's this one. Raid. Work. Fighting Neighbors and Winning Wages, or Warren Martin Ruins Anything, or another book that I'll probably remember that I read and make a reaction towards that I can't think of right now. Which of the 4 books or 5 books? One of them I should review. And then I'll review that one. So that way, there's a community thing. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy. Bye!